Do you want to work on this proposal? I widen my eyes when the general manager, who usually pays no attention to me, says something like that to me. I had to warn you. This is a proposal where the company's fate depends on. If you can come up with a perfect proposal, go for it. Does that mean he has faith in me? I nodded at the department manager, who was smiling at me in a rare way. My name is Mike. I'm a 29-year-old company employee. I joined this company after graduating from college, and for the first time in my life, I have someone I can call my best friend. His name is Henry. We were both new hires who happened to sit next to each other at the new hire orientation. I'm often said to be the athletic type with a lot of bravado, but Henry is the complete opposite, with a calm demeanor. At first, I wondered if I would be able to make it in such a big company. Henry and I were assigned to the same department. I took to the seniors, who liked me because of my natural cheerfulness, especially Angie, who was 2 years older than me and my mentor. You're very energetic. I like that, she said, and trained me thoroughly. Unlike me, Henry is a steady type of guy who doesn't flatter his seniors but always listens to what they say. Henry and I often collaborated and gradually started going out for drinks. While some of my peers quit because they thought the work was too hard, Henry and I were doing well. A few months ago, however, the head of our department changed. I was trying to find out what kind of person the new manager was like, but what I found out was that he has a strong dislike for people. He hates me completely. According to Angie, he doesn't like athletic people like me because they are too heated. However, I have no intention of changing my character because I think it's my charm, and I'm going to do my job well and get the department manager's approval. When Angie heard this, she smiled and said, "That's the spirit," to me. Angie said she had worked for the general manager before, but he liked her strangely and she was a little troubled by it. I was doing my job as well as I ever did, but the general manager told me that he didn't like me. "Hey, you over there! Get this done for me!" And he always forced me to do chores. Because of my competitive nature, I was always trying to show off my work to the head of the department so that he would recognize me someday. Henry once asked me why I was appealing so much to the manager. "Well, you want to be recognized, don't you?" Henry laughed at what I said. "Mike, you've got guts." I was more and more motivated by his words. A short time later, I was called in by the manager. "Do you want to work on this proposal?" Surprised by the manager finally approves of me, I say, "I'll do it." When I respond, the manager says to me, "I have to warn you, this is a proposal where the company's fate depends on it," he said. The manager asked me to submit a perfect proposal. I responded with enthusiasm, but the word perfect left me perplexed. However, the manager said he would consult with me if I had any problems, so I was relieved to hear that. The deadline was a month later. I started working on the proposal that day. A while ago, a proposal I had written was well received within the company. At that time, I thought the general manager didn't seem to be amused, but maybe he recognized my achievements and entrusted me with the project. Moreover, I was told that if we succeeded this time, it would be $1 million business, and I felt the weight of responsibility. A few days later, I went to my manager for advice. "Yeah, that sounds fine," he tells me. When I try to ask him a question, "Look it up on your own. I'm busy," he said, and blew me off. It was him who said he would consult with me. I was working late, worrying my head off. Then Henry comes to me. "Don't overwork yourself. I'm here to help." I nodded to his kind words. With the help of Henry, who continued to worry about me, I set a timetable for completing the project. Angie called me halfway through the project and told me that I should be able to meet the deadline. Angie looked over the project and said, "Yeah, it looks good," she told me. 1 week remains before the proposal is due. At that time, I was summoned to the conference room by my manager, who asked me about the progress of my proposal. I handed him a draft of the project. Then he flips through the proposal and starts laughing. I was puzzled. Then he started tearing up the proposal right in front of me. "Your proposal is trash," I muttered to myself as I looked at the torn-up proposal. My manager smirked and laughed. "I knew it'd be impossible for you. I told you at the beginning that the fate of our company depended on this. I told you to come up with the perfect proposal. Do you know what this means now?" He tapped me on the shoulder. I can't believe that someone would treat me like this after I spent every waking moment working on a proposal. Moreover, he said he would consult with me, so I asked him for advice, and yet he never helped me or gave me advice. And then he rips up my nearly finished proposal and throws it away. I was so shocked and I just nodded my head. He didn't even pay attention to me. "I can't finally get rid of you. I hate people like you. Did you really think I asked you to do this because I believed in you? No way! You're fired," he said. I lifted my head when he said those words. "You weren't able to submit a perfect proposal. Do you understand how important this is? It means you cause a loss to the company. You're fired for violating the terms of the agreement." The director told me this and I tried to respond. "But the proposal..." The director laughed off my words. "I've been preparing the proposal for months. I've had my people help me with it. And of course, my proposal is going to be accepted. You should just use up your PTO while you can. I'll tell HR and the section chief. You don't have to call them. Don't do anything unnecessary." I wonder if he had been making arrangements from the beginning to get me fired. I left the conference room with a nod, but it was already past the end of the workday. I packed my things and left the office with my shoulders slumped. I met Angie when I got out of the elevator. "You look unusually gloomy. What's wrong?" She asked me that, and I said in a lethargic tone, "I've been fired," and turned to leave. Angie grabbed my arm and tried to ask me what was going on, so I tried to summarize. Angie got angry with the manager and lost her temper. "It's fine," I said, and went home. Henry called me that night, but I couldn't pick up the phone because I didn't have the energy to talk to him. The next day, I was forced to take a paid day off, so I stayed home. My manager reminded me yesterday not to contact the company, so I couldn't do anything. My best effort to write a proposal went to waste. When I look at the computer screen where I was working on the proposal, I feel like crying. It felt so pathetic that I failed at something like this, and I also wanted to finish the proposal and slam it down. But my heart broke when I realized that not only I had the director never expected much from me in the first place, but that he had assigned me this job just to make me fail. Henry called me again that night, and I managed to pick up the phone and tell him what had happened yesterday, and he told me what had happened today. "The manager told me that you're fired because you violated the terms of the agreement." and the section manager doesn't seem to understand what's going on. So he asked me if I've been contacted by you. The chief was told the manager not to contact you. On the verge of tears, I say, did I do something to upset him? I didn't think I would get fired. When I said this, Henry responds, about the general manager had fired someone in the past because he didn't like their attitude or something. The employee was forced to resign, but when I asked a senior colleague about it, she told me that he was fired by the department manager. I think he's a relative of one of the directors and has a big attitude because he's a well-connected employee. I see. He was a well-connected employee. I mean, don't the president and the board of directors know about this behavior of the general manager? I say, half in a huff. Then Henry said, I'm sorry, I'll let him know. He says, huh? What is Henry talking about? Henry continued to speak. What? Didn't I tell you? The CEO is my father. Huh? I couldn't hide my surprise at finding this out for the first time since I joined the company. Henry said he thought he told me. I heard that his father worked for the company, but I never heard that he's the CEO. I wondered why the CEO's son was a regular employee of the company. When I said that, Henry replied, I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, so I don't think I'm going to take over the company, he said. I'd heard he had 2 older brothers, but I'd never cared about Henry's family. I couldn't hide my shock, even though it wouldn't change my relationship with Henry. Then Henry says, what are you going to do about the proposal? He asked me. I can't do anything. The manager didn't want me to submit a proposal. I say this with resignation, and Henry's voice comes out unusually loud. Is that okay with you, Mike? That doesn't sound like you. That's when I had an epiphany. I knew I couldn't just sit here and rot. If I could at least finish the job, I might be able to get my feelings straightened out. Henry said he had his father's permission. I'll help you, and I'll be responsible for submitting it. I think your proposal was great. There's a need for it, so are you going to do it or not? He presses me. I push myself to finish the proposal. The next day, I went home to finish the proposal. Henry came to my house at night. I opened the door, and to my surprise, Angie was there too. Angie was smiling at me. You're doing something interesting, aren't you? I thought I'd help too. So, I let them both in. It was the weekend and we worked through the night to finish the proposal. Done, I said out loud and gave them both high fives. I'll hold on to this. Henry takes the proposal and puts it in his bag. A few days later, I got a call from HR and my resignation date was set. I would be lying if I said I had no regrets because I had completed my proposal. But I started thinking about making a decision and looking for a new job. On the day of my resignation, I went to work. Soon, it was time to start work, and the phone started ringing everywhere. After a while, the manager came to my desk. I thought he might say something sarcastic again, so I said something before he could open his mouth. I just came here to get my things and to say goodbye. Thank you for having me. I said this to the manager. Then suddenly, he says, It doesn't matter. We're getting a lot of inquiries about your proposal. It's $1 million business. You need to handle this right now. He tells me. I don't know what's going on, so I ask him, and he says that the phone is ringing non-stop. Most of the calls are inquiring about my proposal. Henry gave it to his father, the CEO, and the president gave the okay. So he proposed the project to all the suppliers at once. The general manager didn't know about it, and he's upset because of the inquiries. But that's not my achievement. Henry and Angie helped me make it happen. But isn't he being too cocky? I was getting angry at that thought. But you tore up my proposal, didn't you? All eyes in the office were on me in response to what I said. It's true that you told me to submit a perfect proposal, but even though you said you would consult with me if I had any problems, when I asked you for help, you didn't take me up on it at all. And when I showed you the proposal, you ripped it up and threw it away, saying it was nothing more than garbage. And when I couldn't submit a proposal, you said it was a violation of the terms of the agreement and you fired me. So what are you asking me to do? When I said that, the general manager frowned, but the phone kept ringing, so he asked me again. I don't care about that. Respond to these calls quickly, he said. I snickered like the director did to me. No, I'm fired, so excuse me. I don't feel like helping when you haven't offered me a single apology. With that said, I held my belongings and the manager grabbed me by the arm. Don't be ridiculous. I told you it's $1 million business. It's also my reputation at stake. Deal with it quickly. At that moment, I heard the noise of a camera shutter. Angie is pointing her phone at us. Boss, you're harassing him, Angie says, and the manager hurriedly removes his hand. Then Henry comes in. Sir, please apologize to Mike. I've already reported this incident to the CEO. You won't get to stay as the department manager for long. Hearing this, the manager goes, What's the meaning of this? And screams. I get in between Mike and the manager and say, Did you know that Mike is the son of the CEO? I didn't know either. The general manager's face turned pale as I laughed. So, the rumor about the CEO's son being a regular employee was true? The general manager is surprised, but everyone around him also widens their eyes. Henry says, My colleague was fired by you for no good reason. I wanted him to know the truth, so I reported it to my father, he said. Then there was a commotion. I looked at the door and saw the CEO of the company coming in. The general manager's face is pale. The CEO came in front of me. So you're Mike. Your proposal was terrific. Someone as capable as you shouldn't be getting fired, he tells me. Then I shake my head. I didn't do it alone. I wouldn't have been able to finish the proposal without help from Henry and Angie. In response, the CEO says, I'm rescinding your firing. I hope you will continue to do what you do best, he said, and he urged me to say whatever I wanted to say to the director. I opened my mouth. I accepted to write the proposal because I wanted to be recognized by you. But when I found out that even when you said was a lie, I lost my confidence. No matter how much you didn't like me, you shouldn't have lied to me and tried to set me up. But thanks to my colleagues and seniors, I was able to regain my strength. And you submitted my proposal, right? The fact that my proposal, which you said was garbage, was accepted means that your proposal must have been garbage. The words came out of my mouth unintentionally, but laughter escaped from those around me. The manager's face turned red, but I guess he couldn't yell at me because of the CEO. I'm going to have a talk with you. Please come to the conference room immediately, the CEO said to the general manager. The general manager followed the CEO out with a pale face. Later that day, the general manager was transferred to a different office far away. Henry told me. The reason he didn't like you was probably because Angie was being nice to you, he said. Apparently, he liked Angie, and he didn't like the fact that I talked to Angie a lot. By the way, Angie had been sexually harassed by the manager, and she presented the evidence of sexual harassment, which also led to the manager being transferred. I was even thinking of suing him, Angie said forcefully. The company's opinion of me improved, but I reported to them that I wasn't in it alone, which resulted in increased bonuses for me and Henry, and Angie's promotion to chief of the department. All you need is a good friend and a reliable mentor. I'm working hard again today, and Henry is laughing at me for being so passionate about my job.